As Seongwu and his team enter the scene, Sunbae is left flustered, unable to maintain his bravado. Seongwu towers over him, questioning his actions. Sunbae, do you have something to say? Sunbae, visibly sweating, fumbles to find a response, but it's clear his tough guy act has completely crumbled. Meanwhile, the rest of the group watches on in disbelief. What the? He acted so tough in front of us, one of them remarks. The truth is out. Sunbae's confidence was a front, and the others are quick to catch on. He really sucked from the beginning, they whisper, leaving Sunbae with no leg to stand on. The crew steps outside, led by Seongwu, while the eerie silence hangs over them. Skeleton minions scuttle quietly. It's quiet here, Hanho notes. There's a sense of calm, but they know better. It's safe for now, Seongwu says, cautious as ever. They prepare to move stealthily, on guard for whatever might come next. The outside world is a battlefield. Bodies are strewn everywhere, a grim reminder of the ongoing chaos. As the group surveys the area, one of them points, over there too, there's a body. The sight leaves the team with mixed feelings, relief that they survived, but dread for what's still lurking. Seongwu, always thinking tactically, muses aloud. I was sure that goblins moved as a horde. Are they hiding somewhere around campus? His mind races, trying to calculate the next threat. Meanwhile, the rest of the team looks around, eyes wide, as they sense something more sinister is on the way. In the distance, a group of survivors approaches. Hanho notices and says, Sunbae, aren't those people? Their approach is calm but suspicious. These aren't just random students. They're warriors who have survived the same apocalypse. The group of fighters emerges into view, their swords raised, but instead of hostility, their eyes light up with relief. They stride forward confidently, visibly glad to see Seongwu's group after the chaos. The tension melts away as it's clear both sides are happy to have some much-needed allies in this nightmare. Park Daesung calls out, Oh, Jinsuk, you're alive too? The familiar faces don't ease the tension though. There's an unspoken rivalry simmering just below the surface. Park Daesung, clearly a leader, stands tall with a sword over his shoulder, scanning Seongwu's group with curiosity. Seongwu's suspicions are confirmed as Park Daesung introduces himself. I'm Student Body President Park Daesung, he announces with a gleam in his eye, clearly used to being in charge. His team gathers around him, eyes gleaming with confidence. They survived just as Seongwu's group did, and they're not here to play nice. Park Daesung offers a proposition, but his tone suggests it's less of an invitation and more of a challenge. It'll be safe to stay with us, he says, trying to convince Seongwu's team. But the subtext is clear. Safety comes with strings attached, and aligning with him might not be as straightforward as it seems. As the tense conversation continues, the student body president's attention shifts to Seongwu's undead companions. He can't hide his unease and asks, What is that monster? Seongwu, with a calm demeanor, casually explains it's the result of his job card choice. The president's response? Pure disbelief. Park Daesung's tone turns sharp, accusing Seongwu of choosing a human-killing monster. In a quick-witted moment, Seongwu realizes he's being painted as dangerous. The tension thickens, but Seongwu remains unfazed. Park Daesung ramps up the pressure, claiming they can't accept those atrocious monsters among them. Just as things get heated, Hanho blurts out, but they're cute, in classic comic relief style, while Seongwu urges him to pipe down. Seongwu's patience runs thin. He's essentially being told to disarm himself by getting rid of his skeletons. With a steely gaze, he refuses, declaring, You're basically telling me to disarm myself. I can't walk around with nothing, right? Park Daesung smirks, offering Seongwu one last chance to join their group if he follows orders. Seongwu sees right through the power play, silently preparing for what's to come. The tension is palpable. Jisoo steps in with fiery confidence, challenging Park Daesung's assumptions. Did we ever say we wanted to join your group? She doesn't back down, calling out the president's arrogance and putting him in his place. Jisoo has had enough of the president's bravado. She calls him out for being a hypocrite, reminding him that it doesn't matter who's in charge when everything's falling apart. The tension reaches its peak, and then comes the bombshell. Jisoo reveals some juicy dirt about the president's past corruption. Embezzling student funds. The president's face turns pale as she shows proof of his shady dealings. He's been exposed. With his secret out in the open, the president is left speechless. Defeated, he awkwardly tries to retreat, realizing that his authority has crumbled, much like the world around him. Seongwu's team is about to leave when Park Daesung, the student body president, shouts at them, You'll regret moving in a small group later. He insists they should stay together for synergy. But Jisoo has other ideas. She pulls the team away, deciding it's time to go their separate ways. As they walk, Jisoo reveals her true feelings about Park Daesung. He's a huge hypocrite, she explains. Apparently, he preyed on girls during his time as student president, even targeting some of her friends. With that history, there's no way she's sticking around with him now. With the drama behind them, Seongwu and his team regroup. They discuss their next move, escaping the campus, but wisely decide to avoid large crowds. They know monsters are drawn to humans, and they're not about to be anyone's bait. Seongwu and his crew quietly tread through the eerie silence. Hanho can't help but notice, it's silent here, a little too silent. But hey, in this chaotic world, silence might not be a bad thing, right? Suddenly, Seongwu senses something and raises his hand. Halt, everyone freezes, tension in the air as they wait to see what's coming. Hanho, always the curious one, asks, What is it, Sunbae? But Seongwu with a steely gaze simply shushes him. Oh, something is definitely wrong. Cue the monstrous reveal. A massive, terrifying creature emerges, stepping out of the shadows. Our heroes are greeted by a hulking figure, limbs thicker than tree trunks, and blood splattered on the ground. This doesn't look like your average goblin. Their worst fears are confirmed as the massive figure reveals itself, an enormous axe-wielding orc. It's bigger than the goblin boss. One of the team gasps, eyes wide with shock. Seongwu grips his weapon tighter, ready for battle. The orc roars, raising its axe high into the air. Its battle cry echoes through the trees, and Seongwu's team prepares for the inevitable fight. After goblins are orcs, Seongwu mutters, realizing they've entered the next tier of enemies. The orc charges ferociously toward the team, but Seongwu remains unfazed. With a confident smirk, he mutters, "Good." His eyes gleam as he tightens his grip on his weapon. Looks like new skeleton material has appeared.